Across the galaxy, hundreds of powerful civilizations gathered in one place to decide the fate of entire star systems. This place was known as the Galactic Council. The council chamber floated in deep space, a massive circular station built by ancient races thousands of years ago. Inside the chamber, leaders from every powerful empire sat in tall silver seats that surrounded a glowing center platform. On this day, the entire council had gathered to discuss one species: humans. For many years, humanity had slowly expanded beyond their home system. They built colonies on distant planets, mined resources from asteroids, and traded with smaller alien races. Their ships traveled farther every decade. Their population kept growing. And their influence in the outer regions of the galaxy was becoming stronger. But to the ancient alien empires, humans did not look impressive. Their technology seemed simple. Their fleets looked small compared to the giant armadas of older civilizations. Human governments were divided, and many alien leaders believed humanity was too emotional and unpredictable to ever become a real galactic power. To them, humans were simply a young species trying to act stronger than they really were. At the center of the chamber, a tall alien with dark blue skin slowly stood up. He was Ambassador Kareth of the Zarethian Empire, one of the oldest and most powerful races in the galaxy. When he stood, the entire chamber became quiet. Kareth looked around the room before speaking. "Humanity is spreading too quickly," he said in a calm but cold voice. "Their colonies are appearing in systems that have remained untouched for centuries." Some council members nodded. "They lack discipline," another alien leader said. "Their governments argue with each other constantly." A third representative laughed softly. "They are barely organized. I do not see how they could ever threaten anyone." More quiet laughter filled the chamber. Many of the council members believed the same thing. Humans were active and ambitious, but they were not considered dangerous. Compared to the ancient powers of the galaxy, humanity looked like a small and noisy newcomer. But Ambassador Kareth was not smiling. "Perhaps they are weak today," he continued. "But history has shown us something very important. Young species can grow very fast. If we ignore them now, they may become a serious threat later." The room became quiet again. Finally, one of the council generals leaned forward. "What do you suggest?" Kareth paused for a moment before answering. "We test them." A large holographic map of human space appeared in the center of the chamber. Several small colonies blinked across the outer systems. Kareth pointed toward one of them. "A mining colony on the edge of their territory. It is small. Poorly defended." The general understood immediately. "A military exercise." Kareth nodded slowly. "Yes. A fleet will move into their territory. Not an attack, just a show of power." Several council members smiled. If humans were truly weak, they would panic. They would apologize. Maybe they would even ask the council for protection. The vote happened quickly. Within minutes, the decision was made. A powerful alien fleet was ordered to move toward human space. Days later, thousands of massive warships arrived near the small human mining colony. Their ships blocked the stars above the planet, casting long shadows across the surface. Inside the colony, alarms began to sound. Human workers ran through metal corridors as emergency messages were sent toward Earth. Far away, inside the Galactic Council chamber, alien leaders watched the situation through live transmissions. They expected fear. They expected surrender. Instead, something unexpected happened. A single human signal suddenly appeared on every screen in the chamber. The transmission activated, revealing the bridge of a human warship. Standing calmly in the center was a human officer wearing a dark Terran uniform. "This is Admiral Marcus Hale of the Terran Defense Fleet," he said. His voice was calm. Almost relaxed. "You have entered protected human territory." The alien commanders smirked. One of them replied with open mockery. Or what? For several seconds, Admiral Hale said nothing. Then he answered with only one sentence. You are about to find out. A moment later, the alien fleet sensors suddenly exploded with new signals. Hundreds of unknown ships were appearing across the system. The council chamber slowly fell silent as more signals appeared. And then even more. Because the ships arriving in the system were human warships. And there were far more of them than anyone in the galaxy had ever seen before. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, the laughter slowly faded. Moments earlier, many alien leaders had been smiling. They believed the human admiral was bluffing. A small species like humanity could not possibly challenge one of the Council's military fleets. But the sensor data on the giant holographic screen was beginning to tell a different story. At first, only a few signals appeared near the edge of the system. Small blue dots blinked into existence one by one. Then more appeared. 10. 20. 50. Within seconds, the number kept growing. The council technicians quickly adjusted the sensor filters, thinking the readings were incorrect. But the signals did not disappear. Instead, the number increased even faster. Those are warp signatures, one alien scientist said nervously. Ships are entering the system. Across the chamber, several council members leaned forward in their seats. Back near the human mining colony, the alien fleet also began receiving the same sensor reports. New ships were appearing all around them. Bright flashes of light exploded across empty space as vessels exited faster than light travel. Large shapes began to form as the distortion fields faded. Human warships. But these ships were not the small patrol vessels the Council had recorded in their files. These ships were massive. Long, dark hulls covered in heavy armor floated silently in space. Their engines burned with deep blue light, and rows of weapon batteries slowly rotated into position. One alien commander stared at the tactical display. This is impossible, he whispered. Human ships were appearing from every direction. Within minutes, the alien fleet realized something terrifying. They were surrounded. Hundreds of Terran warships now filled the space around the mining colony. Their formation was precise and disciplined, like a perfectly planned trap. At the center of the human fleet floated a giant flagship. The TDS Resolute. Inside the ship's command bridge, Admiral Marcus Hale stood calmly with his hands behind his back. The glowing tactical map hovered in the air in front of him, showing the entire battlefield. Human officers worked quietly around him. There was no panic. No shouting. Just focused silence. Enemy fleet fully contained, Admiral, one officer reported. Hale nodded slowly. Good. On the alien flagship, the commander finally sent another message. You hid this fleet from the Galactic Council, the alien leader said angrily. The Admiral's image appeared again on their communication screen. His expression did not change. No, Hale replied calmly. You simply never looked carefully. Back in the council chamber, confusion was spreading. Alien leaders whispered to each other while the sensor data kept updating on the holographic display. How many ships is that? One asked. A technician answered quietly. More than 400 confirmed, and still counting. Shock spread across the chamber. The council records had estimated that humanity possessed less than 100 warships in total. But what they were seeing now was something completely different. This was not a small defensive fleet. This was a powerful military force. One of the elder council members slowly spoke. They were hiding their strength. Another alien looked horrified. For how long? The truth was beginning to reveal itself. While the galaxy had been busy watching ancient rivalries and political conflicts, humanity had been quietly preparing. Secret shipyards hidden in asteroid belts. Military bases built inside frozen moons. Entire fleets stationed deep in unexplored space. For decades, humanity had allowed the galaxy to believe they were weak. It had been the perfect disguise. Back near the colony, the alien fleet powered up their weapons. Energy readings began rising across their ships. Admiral Hale watched the movement on the tactical display. "They're preparing to fire," an officer said. Hale nodded once. "Expected." Human ships slowly shifted into tighter formations. Their weapon systems activated, glowing softly as power flowed through them. Railguns charged. Missile pods opened. Energy cannons hummed quietly. The alien commander spoke again through the communication channel. "You cannot defeat a council fleet." Hale looked at the screen. His voice remained calm. "You misunderstand something." The alien commander frowned. Hale continued. "You were never supposed to fight us." For a moment, the alien leader looked confused. Then new signals suddenly appeared across the tactical displays. More warp signatures. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. New Terran fleets were arriving from multiple directions, filling the entire system with even more warships. Back inside the Galactic Council chamber, several leaders stood up in shock. The sensor count continued rising. 500 ships. 600. 700. And still more arriving. Because the fleet surrounding the alien armada had only been the beginning. Silence filled the Galactic Council chamber. The massive holographic screen in the center of the room continued updating every second. New signals kept appearing across the human star system, and the numbers were rising faster than anyone expected. 700 ships. Then 800. Then more. The alien leaders watched in disbelief. Only hours earlier, they had been confident that humanity was weak. Now they were staring at something completely different. A military force the galaxy had never seen before. One council scientist slowly spoke while studying the data. "These ships are not defensive patrol vessels," he said nervously. "They are designed for war." The word spread through the chamber like cold air. Across the system near the mining colony, the alien fleet also realized the situation was changing quickly. Their ships were no longer the ones controlling the battlefield. Human warships surrounded them from every direction. The Terran fleet formed a massive ring around the alien armada, cutting off every possible escape route. On the bridge of the alien flagship, the commander stared at the tactical screen. Red warning symbols filled the display. "Enemy ships locked onto our fleet," a crew officer reported. "How many targeting systems?" the commander asked. The officer hesitated before answering. "Too many to count." The alien commander clenched his claws. For the first time, he understood something important. This was not a bluff. The humans were ready to fight. Meanwhile, inside the Terran flagship TDS Resolute, Admiral Marcus Hale calmly observed the same battlefield. Hundreds of Terran ships floated in perfect formations across the system. Their positions created layers of defense and attack zones that trapped the alien fleet in the center. Every movement had been carefully planned. Human officers worked quietly at their stations. "Fleet positions confirmed," one officer reported. "Outer defensive ring active." Another officer spoke. "Long-range weapons ready." Admiral Hale nodded. "Hold fire." Back on the alien flagship, tension was rising. The alien commander opened another communication channel to the Terran fleet. Admiral Hale's image appeared again on the screen. The alien commander tried to hide his growing frustration. "You planned this," he said. Hale looked at him calmly. "No," the admiral replied. "You planned it." The alien commander frowned. "You entered our territory with a war fleet," Hale continued. "You surrounded a civilian colony. You expected us to panic." The alien leader did not respond. Hale spoke again, his voice steady. "You wanted to see if humanity was weak. For a moment, the alien commander remained silent. Then he said something that many council members watching the transmission would remember for years. "You are a young species. You should not challenge the power of the Galactic Council." Admiral Hale looked directly at the camera. "We are not challenging the Council," he said. "We are defending our people." Inside the council chamber, the tension was growing. Alien leaders whispered to each other while the battle map continued updating. One council general leaned forward. "If the humans attack, our fleet will respond," he said confidently. But another council member shook his head slowly. "Look at the numbers." The display showed the terrifying truth. The Terran fleet now had more than 900 warships in the system. And the alien fleet had less than 300. The Council had expected an easy intimidation mission. Instead, their fleet had flown directly into a trap. Back near the colony, Admiral Hale received new information from his sensors. Another Terran fleet had arrived at the edge of the system. He allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had waited many years for this moment. For decades, they had watched the behavior of the ancient empires. They had studied their politics, their rivalries, and their arrogance. Human leaders had learned an important lesson. In a galaxy ruled by powerful civilizations, survival required patience. And preparation. Now that preparation was finally visible. On the alien flagship, the commander noticed something strange on his sensors. Human warships were moving again. Not attacking. Just repositioning. Slowly. Carefully. Their formation was tightening around the alien fleet like a closing cage. The alien commander suddenly realized what the humans were doing. They were controlling the battlefield. Every second that passed made escape more difficult. He looked back at the screen showing Admiral Hale. "You are threatening a council fleet," the alien commander said. Hale shook his head slightly. "No," he replied calmly. "You threatened us." Then the admiral gave a quiet command to his fleet. "Activate Phase 1." Across the entire system, hundreds of Terran warships powered up their weapons at the exact same moment. Bright blue energy filled the darkness of space. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, several alien leaders stood up in shock. Because in that moment, the galaxy finally realized something terrifying. Humanity had never been weak. They had simply been waiting. Across the cold darkness of space, hundreds of human warships powered up at the same moment. Blue energy lines ran across their hulls as massive weapon systems began charging. The silence of space felt heavier than ever. The alien fleet in the center of the system suddenly realized the situation had become extremely dangerous. On the bridge of the alien flagship, warning alarms began flashing across every screen. "Multiple weapons locking onto our ships," an officer shouted. The alien commander stared at the tactical display. Human ships surrounded them from every direction, forming several layers of attack positions. It looked less like a fleet formation and more like a carefully designed trap. He finally understood something terrifying. The humans had not just gathered ships. They had built a strategy. "Prepare all weapons," the commander ordered. The alien fleet responded immediately. Energy cannons glowed red, missile bays opened, and defensive shields expanded across the entire armada. Hundreds of alien warships prepared for combat. But the human fleet did not fire. Not yet. Inside the Terran flagship TDS Resolute, Admiral Marcus Hale watched the battlefield through a massive holographic display. Every Terran ship appeared as a bright blue icon surrounding the alien fleet. Human officers stood calmly at their stations. There was no fear on the bridge. Only focus. "Enemy weapons fully powered," a tactical officer reported. "Estimated attack within seconds." Hale nodded slowly. "Good." The officer looked confused for a moment. But then the admiral gave the next order. "Begin Phase 1." Across the battlefield, the first Terran ships moved. Not forward. Up. Dozens of human cruisers accelerated above the alien fleet, taking positions far beyond normal combat range. Their long railgun cannons rotated slowly into firing position. At the same time, another group of human ships moved below the alien formation. They formed a second attack layer. The alien commander stared at the tactical screen. "What are they doing?" he asked. Before anyone could answer, the first Terran railguns fired. Massive metal projectiles launched through space at incredible speed. The shells moved so fast that alien sensors barely detected them before impact. The first alien destroyer exploded instantly. The second ship lost half its hull in a single strike. Shock spread across the alien fleet. "Return fire," the commander shouted. Alien warships fired energy cannons in every direction. Bright beams of red plasma shot toward the Terran fleet. But many human ships were already moving. Their engines burned brightly as they shifted positions with perfect coordination. Several attacks missed completely. Other beams struck human shields, but the defenses held. Then the second wave began. From the outer Terran fleet, hundreds of missile pods opened. Thousands of missiles launched at once. The darkness of space filled with glowing trails as the weapons raced toward the alien fleet. Alien point defense systems immediately activated. Laser turrets fired rapidly, destroying many incoming missiles. But there were simply too many. Explosions lit up the battlefield. One alien cruiser lost its engines. Another ship's shield collapsed after multiple impacts. The alien fleet had entered the system expecting a simple show of power. Instead, they were now fighting one of the largest battles in modern galactic history. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the alien leaders watched the battle through live transmissions. Many of them were no longer speaking. The situation was becoming impossible to ignore. Human ships were fighting with incredible discipline. Their formations moved smoothly, adapting to every alien counterattack. One council general spoke quietly. "This is not a defensive fleet." Another council member nodded slowly. "No, this is a trained war fleet." Back near the battlefield, Admiral Hale observed the damage reports. "Enemy shields weakening," an officer reported. "Multiple alien ships disabled." Hale studied the display carefully. Human losses were minimal. The alien fleet was already beginning to break formation. For the first time since the battle started, the alien commander looked uncertain. He had expected humans to panic. Instead, they were fighting with calm precision. Then something even worse happened. New warp signatures appeared at the edge of the system. The alien commander's eyes widened. More Terran ships were arriving. Reinforcements. Another human fleet exited warp space behind the alien armada, completely blocking the final escape route. Inside the Terran flagship, Admiral Hale finally spoke again. "Send a message to the enemy commander." The communication channel opened. The alien commander appeared on the screen again, his expression tense. Hale looked at him calmly. "You entered our space without permission," the admiral said. "You threatened our civilians. You ignored our warning." Hale paused before finishing his sentence. "This battle does not have to continue." The alien commander looked around his damaged fleet. Human warships surrounded him on every side. For the first time since the Council created its military, one of its fleets had been completely trapped. And the humans were the ones holding the advantage. The battlefield slowly grew quiet. Debris from destroyed ships drifted through space while damaged alien vessels struggled to hold their positions. Fires burned across several hulls, and emergency lights flashed inside many of the Council ships. The battle had lasted only minutes. But it had completely changed the situation. Human warships still surrounded the alien fleet in perfect formation. Hundreds of Terran vessels floated calmly across the system, their weapons still locked and ready. Inside the alien flagship, the commander stared at the tactical display in silence. Nearly a third of his fleet was already damaged or destroyed. More importantly, every possible escape path was blocked. Human fleets controlled the entire system. He finally understood something the Galactic Council had never considered. Humanity had not just built ships. They had built a strategy for survival. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the alien leaders watched the same scene through the live transmission. No one was laughing now. Only hours earlier, many of them believed humans were weak and disorganized. Now they were watching a council fleet being completely surrounded by Terran forces. One of the oldest council members slowly stood up. "This was a mistake," he said quietly. Several others nodded. The council had expected fear. Instead, they had discovered discipline. Back near the mining colony, Admiral Marcus Hale stood on the bridge of the TDS Resolute. The battlefield hologram floated in front of him. Hundreds of Terran ships formed glowing blue rings around the damaged alien armada. His officers waited for the next command. But Hale did not order another attack. Instead, he opened a communication channel to the alien flagship. The alien commander appeared on the screen again. His posture was no longer confident. Admiral Hale spoke calmly. "The situation is clear," he said. "You cannot defeat us here." The alien commander remained silent. Hale continued. "We do not want war with the Galactic Council." This sentence surprised many of the alien leaders watching from the council chamber. They expected anger. They expected revenge. But the human admiral's voice remained steady. "We only want one thing," Hale said. "Respect our borders." The alien commander studied the Terran fleet around him. Everywhere he looked, human ships waited patiently. Their weapons were ready, but none of them were firing. It was a controlled battlefield. Not a massacre. Finally, the alien commander asked a quiet question. "Why did you hide your strength from the galaxy?" Admiral Hale answered immediately. "Because power attracts enemies." The alien commander slowly understood. Humanity had allowed the galaxy to underestimate them. It had given them time to grow. Time to prepare. Time to build fleets strong enough to defend themselves against anyone. Back in the council chamber, several alien leaders exchanged worried looks. They realized something important. If humanity had built fleets like this in secret, there was no way to know how many more ships existed across their territory. The alien commander looked back at Hale. "If we withdraw," he asked, "will you allow us to leave?" The admiral nodded. "Yes." The alien commander hesitated. For centuries, council fleets had never been forced to retreat. But today was different. He gave the order. "All ships, prepare to withdraw." Across the damaged alien fleet, engines slowly powered up. One by one, the warships began turning away from the human formations. Terran ships did not follow. They simply watched. The alien fleet activated their warp drives and disappeared into faster-than-light travel. The battlefield was finally silent again. Inside the Terran flagship, one officer looked at Admiral Hale. "Should we pursue them?" Hale shook his head. "No." He looked at the stars beyond the system. "They came here to test us." The officer nodded. "And now they know." Far away, inside the Galactic Council chamber, the alien leaders continued watching the empty battlefield. The message was clear. Humanity was not a reckless young species. They were patient, prepared, and far stronger than anyone had believed. From that day forward, the Galactic Council changed its policies toward Earth. Human space was officially recognized as protected territory. Council fleets would never again enter it without permission. Because the galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humans were not the weakest civilization among the stars. They were the ones who had been quietly preparing for the moment someone would finally push them too far. And on that day, the entire galaxy learned to respect humanity.